Supr High Roller, where the best compete. For the elite, a single card can be the difference between victory and defeat. Now the final 8 have been decided, and all eyes are set on the final stage. It's time to see who will rise to the occasion. With the pressure mounting and millions to play for, the fight for the title is on. Yes, 47 entered, 8 got to the final table, but only 6 are getting paid. And that, my friends, equals heartache for the guy they call Big Tony. Well, he doesn't look that big to me. It was all the 8s for the Italian in Rozvadov. The 8 of clubs paired with the 8 of spades equaled 8th place for Big T. Little T, Timothy Adams, into the chip lead with that bust out. This was the 3rd and biggest high roller event of the Party Poker Live Millions Germany week, and Patrick Antonius had already won one of them. He wouldn't, however, win a second. He found himself short stacked with pocket 6s, pushed all in, and it was that man, Adams, once again swinging the executioner's axe. Antonius, the bubble boy, gone in 7th.
Here with Patrick Antonius. Patrick, I know that's definitely not the result that you wanted, but you were short stacked coming in. What was your mindset coming into this final table?
Yeah, I didn't have many chips, so I don't know if it was second last or third last, but obviously make the money was the first goal. And unfortunately, I just had a kind of a situation that I didn't see any other move than pushing with my 6s and bubbled. Anyways, I played to win these tournaments, and it's I know there was one player that had less chips than I had, and it sucks to not make the money, but you know, it's poker, and you have to take risks, and and this happened today.
Well, you're still walking away a winner here in Rozvadov. At least you clinched that 25K Supr High Roller, so there is that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been a good trip overall.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure we'll see you again. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thank you.
And Patrick there, obviously quite right. Disappointed to bust out, but pragmatic about it. And as he says, you just got to play the hands you're dealt. You can come in with a strategy of trying to outlast someone, but he got dealt a situation there that needed him to shove.
Yeah, Timothy Adams, once he became chip leader, was raising several times in a row. Patrick folded his big blind to him and then moved on him the next time and was unlucky to actually find him with a real hand the 3rd time. Dietrich on the button has an ace.
Yeah, and only just over 12 big blinds, so this will be a shove for Dietrich.
6 raise all in.
Timothy's got ace-8 suited behind.
See, he asked for a count and then instantly looked at Mustapha, trying to get a read to see if he's interested in this pot. Far more concerned about Mustapha than Dietrich. And unless he picks something up off Mustapha, I can't imagine him folding this hand. He knows Dietrich's going to be shoving very wide range of hands for 12 big blinds and the shortest stack at the table.
He makes the call.
1 pass.
Mustapha folds 10-7 of hearts.
Oh, bad news for Dietrich.
Okay, so is Dietrich Fast going to be our 6th place finisher? Chip leader with 14.2 million, Timothy Adams. Could be about to go to 16 million.
and a complete nothing flop for both players. So Dietrich left with just the 7 to hit. And if he doesn't hit it, he will be the 6th place finisher. Felt even... Well, sorry, he does have a few split outs. If it was a pair, the 3 or the 5. He does not, and we will lose Dietrich in 6th place. And that further moves Timothy up the leaderboard, or further improves his chip lead, I should say. Huge 18 million chip stack now. Of course, only 47 million in play. Each player started with 1 million chips.
So this final table's been going for only 30 minutes, and we've already lost 3 players. Dietrich Fast from Germany there, eliminated in 6th, and he's won 130,000. Doesn't look too unhappy. He came to the final table, second short stack, 3 million chips, and he's managed to leave this tournament in profit. So we are now down to 5 players. Next payout, 180,000.
Here with Dietrich Fast. Dietrich, I'm sure there's mixed emotions here. You did make the money, so you are walking away with 130,000 euros, which is nice, but of course everyone's eyeing that first prize.
Yeah, that's true. And you have to consider I paid 50,000, so it's just 80,000 I made. It's an alright payday, but if you go to a final table, you always try to win the tournament, and it's always, no matter what, if you even you get 2nd place, you're still not happy with the finish, because you're always trying to win. So
yeah. Feels slightly better than being bubble, but still.
Yeah, that's for sure. That was my first goal. I was, I think, 2nd last in chips. So try to get into the money and then try to go from there. And at least that one goal, the small step, I could achieve. But yeah, I hope for more. But it's not always. Christmas, you know.
Yeah. It's not always New Year's either. Well, thank you so much, Dietrich.
Yeah, thank you.
So, of course, at the moment, the logical winner of this, as the way it's going, is Timothy Adams, but that can all change very quickly as the blinds increase and one of the shorter stacks doubles up.
Michael raising up in the cutoff here with ace-9. Not the most envious seats, raising into the 2 big stacks behind him. Just over 20 big blinds. Don't know how Timothy obviously wants to get frisky, wants to keep applying pressure, but Michael hasn't really played a hand yet. Maybe just let this one go. Oh, he has decided to call.
Well, Mustapha has to have a bad hand not to call there as well. Now, well, we saw how Timothy outplayed Tobias earlier. Let's see how he plays this hand.
Yeah, this one feels a little thin to me, but Timothy playing the rush. Awkward. Michael will be thinking the kind of hands Timothy's going to call me with out of the small blind probably don't connect with this board too often. You shouldn't be playing small cards. No. Has checked back. Maybe going for the delayed c-bet.
7 check.
And Timothy knows full well it's hard to represent too many hands on this board. And because Michael's checked, he might have some sort of hand he'd call with, like an ace-high. I couldn't see him folding ace-high if Timothy bet here.
3 check.
It'll be interesting to see here if Timothy puts a bet out now.
Yeah.
He knows that there's no chance that Michael's got a spade. He checked the flop. He would have put a little bet in on the turn.
Yeah, it's interesting. Michael obviously took the decision to try and take ace-9 high to showdown. This river, here we go.
7 bet, 250.
And a very small bet. but by betting so small, he opens up the value bet range to include lots of spades. This is something Mike will be thinking of. If he bet bigger, he's trying to say, I've only got a very strong flush. This way, he's saying, I've almost got any flush, making it more likely he has a value betting hand than a... Wow. What a call by Michael. Incredible call. The first time we've seen Timothy really lose a pot.
Wow, that's impressive.
So the blinds are up.
Yep,
100,
100, 200.
Hello.
New dealer.
Yes.
And we have Mustapha Kanit in seat 1, Tobias Zigler in seat 2, Chi Zhang from the UK in seat 3, Felipe Ramos in seat 4, and Timothy Adams, our chip leader, in seat 6. These players, part of the 47 entries that played the 50k Supr High Roller here at King's Rosvedov, accumulating 2.35 million, and first place is 800,000. Runner-up gets $500,000. Sounds good, doesn't it? 362,500 for third, 260 for fourth, and next player out will receive 180,000.
And this is an interesting spot for Michael. He knows Mustapha's raising a lot of hands, and with just 22 big blinds, Queen 10 suited is an attractive proposition for the 3-bet jam. It's one of these, if he had 16 big blinds, it's so much easier to do than with 22. And the small ante comes into a factor as well, just that little bit less in the pot to fight over. I like to play it as a call. A lot of good flops for Queen 10 suited.
And Felipe will not be defending with 7 deuce, surely.
No.
So, heads up to the flop. Michael with Queen 10 of hearts and Mustapha with Queen 9.
And well, interesting flop for Michael. He has flopped a pair, but there are 3 diamonds and an ace on board. Mustapha with a 9 of diamonds, so lots of equity he might not necessarily be wild about. Imagine a good spot for continuation bet. There aren't many ace-x hands that Michael will be flat calling with out of the small blind.
One bet. 325.
And as before, same as Timothy, his C-bet is smaller than the pre-flop raise. Michael probably going to call once, give it up if a diamond comes. Probably go check on the turn if a diamond doesn't come. That's a perfect blank.
3 check.
I would like to see Mustapha continue the pressure here, really. He knows Michael doesn't have a strong ace. He may have flopped a flush, but unlikely. It would have to be...
Michael did consider raising pre-flop, didn't he?
Yeah, but it would have to be almost Queen Jack of diamonds. You can't see him flat calling pre-flop with 8-9 of diamonds. King Jack of diamonds, he's probably going to jam. 10 of diamonds on the board, so he can't have a hand like Queen 10 of diamonds or Jack 10 of diamonds. There just aren't that many hands Michael can have here.
$650,000 this time, about a third of the pot.
600.
Well worked out there from Mustapha.
He now believes that Mustapha did have an ace after all.
And as you say, it's a spot where he's leveraged the stack very well. He might not have made that play against another big stack, but because he knows by betting that 660, there's such a significant proportion of Michael's chips. It really puts him in a tough spot.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we saw Timothy do earlier against Tobias.
And here we go with our chip counters. You can see Michael and Felipe, the small stacks, 19 big blinds. Timothy, close to 100 big blinds. And I'm very happy to announce that
I'm just waiting for Timmy to go.
I am joined now in the booth by Marcel Lusk, Party Poker Pro and Ambassador.
Well, it's always a pleasure to be in the booth, especially with games like this.
Yes.
I love the pink.
It's awesome to be watching a 50k Supr High Roller and seeing the cards these guys play. Next up, we'll receive 180,000 euros. Fourth, 260, third, 362. So these guys with the short stacks really playing a weird secondary game to the big stacks to see, you know, they double their money if they just outlast 2 more spots. So Michael with 16 big blinds in the small blind here. Just him and Felipe left in the hand. Felipe with a very similar stack.
Family. Where you go? This Finland. Is really bad as well. They look good together. I'm not going to go to Macau because it's the same time.
And this is when you have 2 short stacks like this on a final table, winning, it's almost like winning a pot off the other short stack is so much more valuable, right? Because you make him shorter and yourself bigger.
If I get the seat, I probably go.
Timothy looks pretty relaxed, doesn't he? Lounge back in the
Oh,
chair,
it's so
big chip
funny.
lead.
He walked in
But like last
and
time,
he straight up to the
100K wouldn't.
the side where you can hold yourself and pull yourself up. He did it a couple of times, looked around, and he walked out again.
Well, if he wins this tournament, it may become the workout of choice for players before a final table.
Well, I try to do the same. I go in and stay a little bit longer, and just think it helps, and then.
Well, this looks like trouble for Felipe. Mustapha raising it up with ace queen under the gun. Felipe with under 20 big blinds and ace jack. It's hard to see him doing anything but going all in here.
He probably is going to shove. But
And this is great news for Michael.
All in?
it's really a setup, isn't it?
How much is it?
500.
Mustapha will ask for a count, but we'll see it's short
I
stack.
don't see him folding. Eh?
No,
Ace
of
queen.
course. But Felipe's probably loving life when he gets asked for a count. He's thinking they're on.
Oh yeah, he thinks
It's the best hand.
3 million, 980.
He might end up with the best hand.
980.
Crying call with the
Wow.
best hand.
Yeah, I'm surprised Mustapha hasn't called already.
He knows how tight he plays.
Right. And he
But
has
it's
called.
still, you still cannot fold.
And Felipe sees the bad news. Unless he mounts a jack, straight or a flush, he will be the 5th place finisher. Of course, a big pot if he were to win.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
right back in the game with 8 million. If Mustapha wins, then it very solidifies his position in second.
Philip thinks, where's the jack where you need it?
And a 6, 7, 10 flop, no help. Felipe does pick up backdoor flush draw, but Mustapha has a higher club.
9 would be a nice card for Philip.
Of course, yeah, you can make 8,
4
9.
outs.
And that card makes it interesting because he can now hit a 10 or a
7.
7 for a chop,
10.
which I'm sure Felipe would take at this moment in time.
He will take it any time now. He don't mind which 10 or which 7. And surprise, surprise.
And a queen will seal Felipe's fate. Unlucky to leave us in 5th place, but he will pick up 180,000 euros for his efforts. Not a bad day's work.
Good game, bro.
It's not bad to go out at any
Doesn't matter you
competition.
bust, you had the killer hoodie at this final.
Money like this.
Now, you see a smile on his face there, but all these players, as you rightly said, they all want to win titles. It's
Yeah.
money, secondary once they reach the final table is the money,
No,
right?
no pink chips. No pink, no pink. Needle. No, I have here.
Mustapha shoots back
They
up.
discussed now that he was thinking so long. They say, I think. And, it was not the way. It's just like they take their time to know the situation.
Here with Felipe Ramos, Felipe out in 5th, taking home 180K clean. I know it's still upsetting, but what's so beautiful about your story is you have so many people railing you and you have so much support back home. In Brazil, it's about 3 or 4 hours back and everyone got up early to support you, right?
Yeah, first of all, very nice talking to you. And very happy about all the support from my countrymen. Actually, it's like carnival in Brazil, and it's very early, so it's really hard to compete, like put people to watch us while they're partying and having fun. But that's really a blessing. Like so many pictures I got, so many replies, people actually like watching the stream and cheering. Very hard for a Brazilian. Right here in the -3 today, cold, very far from home, and very blessed to live this life and have these people with me. Like this is like my true blessing.
Yeah, well, you've been to many high roller final tables, and it's your wonderful attitude that brings you back to many more. So best of luck in the future. Thank you, Felipe.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
So we have Mustapha, you see there, with 86 big blinds now. Timothy with around 90. So these two, by far and away, the biggest stacks at the table.
Yeah, but you know how quick that can turn.
Sure,
you know,
a couple of all-ins.
Look at
right?
somebody, and the shorter the table gets, the more it depends on the hands coming out, and you have to be really careful to see which hand you're going to put your money on.
Of course, we'll see with only 4 players at the table, you have to play a lot more hands, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
like they both have a great hand now because he hit second pair.
Yeah,
the Jack-8 is feeling like, the only card that beats him is a queen, actually.
So Timothy has limped in from the small. Mustapha checked the big blind with Jack-8 suited. The flop is Queen 8-4. Timothy top pair, Mustapha second pair, and Timothy coming straight out betting. So there's obviously no way Mustapha can do anything here but call, right? Or call and see a turn.
Yeah, he can just call to see the next card. Or if he really know where he's at, then he raise him, but then he might walk into a trap.
Right.
So
he has a backdoor flush draw as well. Makes a bit more attractive proposition, right, to call, and a lot of good turn cards to Mustapha.
Call. But look.
Oh, he has indeed actually gone for a raise. That surprise you?
One raise, 800.
It does surprise me because now he wants to know if he have a queen.
Right.
This is what he actually looking at. But he don't know if he have a better queen. So it's like the decision he makes to find out now where he's at to get. If he calls, he gets a turn card.
Right. He can check back the turn.
And then he can have the river card as well.
Okay. And of course, on a board like Queen 8, forward 2 diamonds, part of it maybe protecting in case Timothy has a gut shot
you got
or
a lot of
overcards,
a lot of cards that
draw.
could give him a hand.
Right.
So
it's a protection and also to see what's going on. And an interesting card there.
That's a great card for Mustapha, actually. He get the flush, but he's protected now against if he have a queen.
Right. So you think because he's raised, he can get this river for free? You think he's likely to check back here? Or do you think maybe he knows he's up against the queen now, and now I need to bluff and try and get him off?
If he's going to make a bluff, like acting like he has a king, like he has a diamond or king jack in his hand or something, now he's going to go for the free ride.
And it
that
repeats the queen.
That didn't work.
Well, obviously a kind of unfortunate card for Mustapha, right? Because it makes it less likely Timothy has a queen when he can see 2 on the board and make him think his 8's a little bit stronger than it was.
He might call if Timothy bets it. He might call if he value bets it.
Right. Obviously, you could put him on a lot of draws, and these are the 2 chip leaders, but runaway chip leaders. Much more interesting dynamic when you're playing a final table and 2 of you have got huge stacks. You don't particularly want to play big pots with each other.
No, certainly not. You're going to use the other players still in the game to get positions, get advantage.
Right, you want to leverage the short stacks.
See hands, see how they play. Try to get your opponent to expose because he is his biggest opponent at the moment. And sometimes you put him in a bad spot by betting between you and the third person who's in the pot to squeeze play in,
Sure.
to get him out or to let him get into danger.
And Timothy with a huge bet here, more than pot. Trying to maybe make it look like a busted draw.
Well, this is now, he puts him on the test to think about it. He knows he has the best hand.
Right.
So he goes like, make it look like it's a bluff. Likely.
Yep.
Gives him the best chance to get a call from a weaker pair.
And a very tough spot for Mustapha, right?
Yes. This is nothing to do with, oh, you played that well because you called it or you folded. It's just like a decision you make. Feeling robbed, feeling like he tried to bluff himself this pot. You know, or not.
So Mustapha obviously just trying to work out this.
I think he's going to fold it based on knowing that you don't have to lose big money with a hand like this. You get better opportunities. And you have to give him credit for calling the flop when he bets it.
Right, he's called a raise.
So
on the flop.
this would be a minor extra to give him in this 50-50 decision.
Yeah, he knows Timothy would play every queen he has this way, right? He'd bet the flop, he'd call a raise, and he'd bet the river with three of a kind. He's certainly having some deep consideration over it. It's not always so easy when you're in the seat.
No, it's easy when the hand is played. Now everybody's going to say he should fold.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
This is why I don't like the commentary when the cards are open most of the time, when players don't explain what's going on in their head.
Sure.
It's easy to see what's going on because the cards are there. We know who's going to win.
And of course, strategically as well, he knows if he were to call this pot, that in his mind he's thinking, well, then I'd be chip leader, and if I win and I have position on the other guy, maybe this is something that's going through his head. But on the flip side, if I call and lose, I give Timothy even more of my chips. He gets further ahead as a chip leader.
The flip side is when he folds and he turns him over a bluff. Then you feel like done.
And he has.
Here is the small percentage I told you that he will choose for.
Yeah, and he's
this
made
is
it
because these players are so experienced and know, and they make up their mind. They're betting with the purpose.
Welcome back to the King's Casino, Rosvadov, and the Party Poker Live Millions Germany Supr High Roller event, where we are down to just four. Felipe Ramos, the last man out. His ace-jack busted by Mustapha Kanit's ace-queen. Felipe goes home with 180,000 euros and perhaps a sense of what could have been. The winner here in Rosvadov will take home 800,000 euros.
When we all, when we all decide to come back.
Of course, with Felipe's exit, it means we are down to just these four remaining players, and it will be one of these walking away with that 800,000 euro prize, and of course the title of Supr High Roller Champion.
One pass, two pass.
Timothy raising up a King 10 suited under the gun here. Michael ace queen in the big blind, and it looks like 16 big blinds. So imagine an all in here. Yeah. And Timothy with somewhat of a decision, King 10 suited, right?
3.4.
Can I give you one stick?
5, 6. 3.7.
Well, he's not going to call it.
Okay, yeah, it's Michael's played very snug so far, but as we can see, 40% equity against some of the hands he's shoving with.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Timothy is not going to call.
He's going to protect the situation he's in, right? Doesn't want to give anyone a cheap double up.
Oh, he's going to damage his stack. Tremendous if he's going to lose a hand like this.
Right, yeah, he wants to keep that lead over Mustapha, right?
Yes. There's nothing wrong with playing the hand, but once you're in a situation like this, it's a king high. You know, and it's a nice hand to see a flop with.
It's 3,000,000.
710.
Maybe thinking if Michael had a small pair, he'd want to call, but...
You see, I cannot see him calling.
Yeah, no, I agree. It
wouldn't make sense. And the player he is, you know, playing so good.
He's playing good, right? He's winning pots without contesting.
It would really surprise me if he would call it.
Yeah.
Anybody else goes like, well, you know, I have a nice hand, and it's it.
King Jack, I call.
King Jack, I call.
Well, there we go. So it was on the borderline for him. Obviously, he knows Michael now is by far the shortest stack. Maybe a bit more liberal with the hands he might go all in with. That maybe played into his thought process.
Well, he saw him going all in with 10-8 before, you know, the hand.
Yeah.
With Philippe, 5-5 for
yeah, when there was just the two of them left in the pot.
And he saw him going all in as first one. Now it's different. He opened for 400,000.
Yeah.
He knows Michael will not go in unless he brings a hand.
He has to have a real hand, right? It can't be just no hand.
Each situation is totally different.
And here we have Tobias raising up King 7 suited, just over 30 big blinds on the button. Timothy with Ace 10 in the big blind. Obviously going to play the hand. Could we raise? Could flat?
Well, he could raise, he could flat, just like you said. And it's not like we wait for him to do it, but it's a decision. I don't see him. He just lost the pot small. I just see him calling like I should do that. I'm not in my zone. I want to see. I want to keep it quiet.
Right. And knowing maybe as well, if it does come ace high, it looks a bit more deceptive because he's just scored. And Tobias has taken the lead on the Queen 7-5 a rainbow flop.
He's going to check. He's going to bet it. He's going to fold it.
He will fold. You think he'll just fold? He maybe.
He will fold it.
Okay.
That's what I think. Based on the fact that
he thinks
maybe plays the hand.
Right, you think maybe Tobias as well less likely to bluff Timothy because he's such a big chip leader.
He's not comfortable now with the band. He don't know what to defend. He could hit the ace and still be losing in the end.
Well, he does decide to call, maybe feeling ace high is the best hand now.
Very surprised.
And Tobias may be less likely to bluff him, so he thinks he can get to showdown.
Very surprised that he did make the call.
And now an interesting spot for Tobias. Does he think he has the best hand? Does he
think what is he calling with? 6-8?
Okay, and
that's a good card.
Did go check. Timothy maybe thinks he himself has the best hand, right? Maybe Tobias took one stab at it and has given up.
In his position now, he could bet out.
All right.
Then he acting like he does have the queen.
Okay. But maybe thinking...
He might think he put him off any card now.
There's an argument maybe thinking Tobias has no hand he can check and Tobias can't really bluff him. Obviously, we imagine Tobias would just check back here and he's going to win the pot.
Ace high.
I was surprised he called a bet out of position, looking for to get a shot, to get a jack, so you have a straight draw, or get an ace, and you don't know where he is. So.
And Timothy opening up with Jack 7 suited. Definitely been the most active player at the table. Mustapha with
if he doesn't do it, then Mustapha will take it.
Right, yeah, because
so
they're raising into the.
Have to lead.
Okay, both raising into the shorter stack, so he doesn't want to let.
Depends on the position, who's first, but they're going to open up a lot of hands.
And Mustapha obviously calling with Ace 10.
And they know how careful their opponents have to play.
And now a really interesting spot for Michael, right? He knows Timothy's raising a lot of hands. Mustapha's just called, so maybe he can remove the best hands from his range and
move all in. It's just aggression.
And this
he knows he will get somebody out of the hand.
And it's a tough spot for Mustapha right here. He's just flat call pre. Maybe it looks weak. He knows Timothy's opening a lot of hands. Michael probably going to push his luck here with a lot of hands.
To play.
Yeah, but Mustapha now, this is probably right in a tough spot for him with ace-10, right?
Oh, for him, of course. Because you have to give him a made hand. The best he can find him with is like king, queen, or nines, 8. But he can find him with ace, jack, ace, queen.
But could he? Is there something he's thinking he'll shove with any ace here? Does he think?
No.
Michael will.
I don't think he can give Michael an ace 4 or something.
Right. Because if he did, obviously he'd have to instantly call, right?
Yeah.
And a very disciplined laydown. Michael manages to make him fold the better hand. And that's a big pickup for Michael. He picks up 1.2 million chips in the pot.
So Michael Zhang knows he can't hang about. Only the brave survive, Michael. Only the brave survive. More from the Party Poker Live Millions Germany Supr High Roller after this break.
We are now four-handed here at the Party Poker Live Million Supr High Roller event final table. That is a mouthful. I'm here with Timothy Adams. Timothy, you're sitting with a pretty cozy stack right now. How are you feeling?
Good. I mean, I've been in this spot before, so yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm used to this. Yeah.
Lovely. And how did you get ready for today? I know you're really into meditating, getting focused, doing some yoga. Any of that?
Actually, last night I was so tired I just passed out. Woke up this morning, went to the spa, just like jumped in the pool, came here. That's it.
Nothing more therapeutic than actual sleep. All right, wishing you the very best.
Great.
Thanks, Timothy.
Thanks. Michael definitely gaining some momentum on this final. We saw the first couple of orbits, he didn't really play a hand, but being the most active player in the last sort of 10-15 minutes.
Well, you know, even sometimes when you're on the table,
Free pass.
you have the lowest stack of chips.
7 raise, 400.
You can still be in charge.
Right. Yeah.
And this is what I feel like when I see Michael playing. He looks like he's always in charge.
Right.
He's always leading.
Okay.
Somehow.
So he's very like a strong player. He's very commanding.
Yeah.
So Timothy raising it up. Queen 6 suited. Tobias in the big blind with pocket 8s. Alex to call. I mean, we'll see a flop of ace 6-5. Well, huge flop for Timothy. A pair and a flush draw. Tobias still with the best hand and a pair of 8s.
He's going to bet it.
And a decision for Tobias, I mean, he does better, right? Because he can't just assume Timothy has an ace. Timothy's raising so many hands on the button that he has to check call, I guess.
Yeah. 7 bet, 250.
And again,
he's gonna call.
Timothy with a very small continuation bet. So Tobias thinking here what to... We know he's not folding, so is he thinking maybe of raising sometimes here or just of calling?
No, he's going to call it. Yes.
And he has?
I think like he have the ace himself. This makes it better for Tobias.
That's a much stronger
Very
hand.
obvious. So now he feels like, okay, that's an improvement. If he had me beat already with the ace.
It still is, but there's less combinations of hands.
But if he would have 9s or 10s, can he really bet it out now? Against unknown, because he don't know what the 8.
So Timothy himself...
It makes the game very interesting.
Timothy himself, of course, will think his hand's very strong. Right? Aside from an ace, he would imagine he's probably ahead with his 6, right? He probably doesn't give Tobias too many pair combinations.
Well, I have to give him credit for calling.
So he might be thinking he has an ace.
Somehow.
Yeah.
So
you'd expect him maybe to check back
there.
here.
He act like he have an ace, which he don't have. His hand getting weaker and stronger, the way you look at it.
7 bet, 850.
He has
He
bet.
still put pressure on him.
So he's gone for a half pot size bet.
Yeah, because he got protection. That's the choice he make. Yeah. Many players would check it now.
And is part of this bet thinking he might be behind, but he doesn't expect Tobias necessarily to check raise. If he does have an ace, he'll just call, thinking Timothy might bluff the river, so he gets to see his clubs. Because obviously he wouldn't want to bet clubs here and get raised and not get to see the river, right? So does he make this bet knowing Tobias won't raise him, even if he has the ace?
Well, I like him the way he calls the bet still.
And he
from
will
his position, because he knows what Timothy is capable of.
Right,
doing.
okay. And of course...
but normally in any game, most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, the opponent falls in a position like this with a medium pair.
And now with 3.4 million in the pot, the river is a 7, and as you expect, it's gone check quickly. Tobias will win.
8. Yeah.
Obviously, Timothy realizing on the river that Tobias either has a hand that's going to call, or he has the best hand with his 6, right? Maybe he could still beat some flush draws.
Well, yeah, you have to give him credit for he might have the ace.
Of course, yeah. He's not going to fold an ace from the big blind, right?
Then he goes like, well, I missed it. Let's reduce my losses. I still have showdown value with my pair of 6s.
Yeah, so he can. There's still some hands he can beat, right? Yep, so here is our leaderboard. Timothy Adams still the chip leader with 15 million. Mustapha Kanit nipping on his heels at 14 million. Tobias comfortable with 11, and Michael still the short stack despite his recent run of cards on 6 million for 31 big blinds.
But you see how it ease out.
Sure, if Michael...
I mean, if you look at it, then it's anybody's game.
If Michael doubles up, right, he's right in the mix. He'll be on 12 million.
Well, he definitely will give them a run for their money.
And here you can see our payouts: 800,000 for the winner, and a 260 for the next person out. Obviously, Felipe Ramos left us in 5th place for 180,000, and Dietrich busted out in 6th for 130. This is interesting. Mustapha's played a lot of hands from the small blind, and he's called with all of them so far. And he continues that strategy. It's good to see. You don't want to be just raising up with your good hands and limping with your bad hands. You'll get exploited. So because he's limped these other hands, he kind of has to limp this hand. Tobias, interesting. I would have expected him to raise with King 9 there, given the hands that Mustapha has limped. But luckily for him, he's elected to check and not fall into the trap. But unfortunately for him, he has caught a piece of this board, and it's hard not to see him losing some chips here.
But 325.
And a half pot bet from Mustapha. Tobias, no real option here other than to call. And too weak to raise, too strong to fold.
He does indeed make the call. This pot is now 1.4 million.
Recall.
And a bad card for Tobias. Both players will like that card.
Yeah, Mustapha will know pretty much where he is now. Figure that he has flopped a pair, his opponent, so we'll try to extract a bit more value.
Yeah, it's a question of how strong he thinks Tobias is, as to how much he can extract with these pair of jacks. Obviously, there is also the chance he can be behind. You wouldn't normally think on a board like this, there is, but Tobias just checked the big blind, so he can have hands like 10-4, 10-3, 9-4, 9-3. But yeah, Mustapha has to play against his entire range, which he's well ahead of.
Yeah, but having not raised, he's not likely to be having Jack-Queen suited, King, Jack, King, Queen.
Precisely.
Any aces, so it polarises his hand. He's going to get another 850,000.
Yeah, he has to call this one really, and at least see one more card. Fold the river is an option.
9 or a king, no.
Wow.
Jack for Mustapha.
It's actually a bad card for Mustapha, as crazy as it sounds. Tobias would think that a lot of the hands that Mustapha's bet twice that he is beating are hands like Queen Jack, King Jack, Jack 8, 7 8. In fact, the only worst card for him really could have been the Jack of Diamonds. Mustapha obviously will know now he's almost certainly got the best hand, only losing to 7 8. King Queen, of course, would have most certainly raised pre-flop. And because of that, Tobias also knows that Mustapha's least likely to bluff this card. He must have thought Tobias looks like he might have a hand like Queen Jack. Or
Be interesting to see how much he bets. He bet half the pot, then he bet a third of the pot.
looks like 2/3 pot this time.
He bet 325 on the flop, 850 on the turn, and now 2.1. Well, that card could save Tobias a few chips here, because any undercard he probably would have called.
And it's interesting because these guys have played quite a few pots, small blind to big blind, limped, and Mustapha this is the first time he's taken this line of aggression. Every other time he's checked the flop, so he does piece it all together. And a little bit fortunate maybe that river it made the decision a lot easier. And as is the case on a farm table, every pot's a big pot. You know, these are shifts. Moves Mustapha further out into the lead, takes some out of Tobias.
So we're 45 hands into the final table, and it's Mustapha Kanit leading the way. 16 million of the 47 million chips on the table sit in front of him. The top three, though, are all pretty evenly stacked. It's Chi Zhang who needs the double up. 4 players remain at the Party Poker Live Millions Germany Supr High Roller. 4 players in with a shout of the €800,000 first prize. That'll buy you a lot of bratwurst out here, but it's the title they all covet. Join us next time as they make the push for glory, cash and bratwurst. See you next time.